Welcome to the Business Day-to-Day podcast. I'm your host, Mike Obremski, the owner of Genesis Unlimited Studios here in Central Oregon. Today's guest is Ted Engstrom, the owner of Sunday Guitars, also here in Bend, Oregon. Today's topics include team management, business planning, and marketing. We'll be learning about a business that started during a recession, grew exponentially, and has withstood the pandemic. Again, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this episode. All right, I'm here with Ted Engstrom from Sunday Guitars, and today we're going to take a look at some of the daily things that Ted does in his business. Ted, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being my first guest on the Business Day-to-Day podcast. It's an honor to have you here. Tell us a little bit about Sunday Guitars. When did you get started? How did you start the business, and maybe kind of to where you're at now?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for having me. I'm always excited to be able to share this story because it's a very interesting story. And I think most mom and pop shops or small businesses have an interesting beginning. But ours is something like this. I lost my job in 2008 when the recession was at its peak. And I did a couple of other small business ventures, and they worked out fine. But I went into the music store business quite on a fluke. I was invited to do it. I was invited to be a part of another music store. And after thinking about it for just a couple of days, I said yes, and I started moving in. What they had was a piano shop. What I had was guitar knowledge. And once I got into the business, I realized that my traffic was increasing over their traffic, not just by a little bit, but sometimes I would have 30 or 40 customers a day and they would have zero. So I thought, I think I'm in the right place at the right time. Put a lot into it, and this was now 2010 when we realized that there was a business here that we could make a good living. Hired a couple of people in 2010, hired a couple more in 2011, but the name of the business was a significant detail for me. Sunday Guitars. Sunday Guitars, Inc. is what I was shooting for. But thinking of a name, talking to various people, digging into my roots of why guitars are important to me. And my brother happened to mention, hey, I still have that record that you learned to play guitar from called Sunday Guitars. And instantly I knew that was it. The guitar music that I learned to play guitar along to was maybe back in 1968, 69. And all we had was a record player, had one record that was just guitar music, and it was inspirational music played by the great players on the in the studios in Los Angeles as a tribute to John Peterson, who wrote a lot of the classical inspirational music for churches. After we got going, there was a significant difference from our end of the store to the piano end of the store. It was very noticeable. They went out of business, and I had the whole building to myself. It wasn't very long before I needed 4, 5, 6, even 7 employees when we were in that small space because we were busy. But when it comes to running the business, most entrepreneurs are busy with their customers, spending a lot of time taking care of customers, trusting only themselves, taking care of their customers. And in all reality, every customer that comes in the door is my customer. This is my space. It's my name. It's my phone number. It's my marketing. It's my everything that makes this thing happen. They're all my customers. But am I willing to train somebody else and entrust my customers into their care?
Yeah.
Enter employees.
That's a hard part. That's a hard part is giving up that trust, that white knuckling your customers and allowing somebody else to take care of your babies. I mean, that's when they come in, that's it. When they come in, they're everything to you. So.
It's absolutely true. When you're looking at talking to Bob and Samantha and Jerry over and over and over again, and suddenly you're out of the picture, and this guy or this girl who's your employee is the one talking to them. They get a whole different message. They get a whole different flavor for what this business is about, and it's a little bit scary when you turn that over to an employee. But let me just tell you this, you will not grow unless you're willing to cross that hurdle. Train those people. Get them ready to have the same smile, the same greeting, the same type of message that you've had in your startup time, and do it successfully. That's one big hurdle right there. The second one is getting into the business plan. Having an employee will free you up, or should free you up, to work on your plan. Now, a smart entrepreneur who has some sense of where he's going should have a plan before he even opens the doors.
Right.
but I would say a high percentage of the time, the small business owner didn't have a plan going into it. They had some money, they had a location, they knew what their store frontage was, they knew what their traffic might be, but having an actual plan for the 5-year plan and the 10-year plan did not exist. There's several organizations, and most of them are in all small communities, reaching out where you can tap in to other business owners to find out how to make a plan. And sometimes you have to educate somebody who's going to educate you, because they may have come from the printing industry or the soda pop industry or something like that. And here I am doing guitars, and I began learning from a guy who was from the printing industry. And I thought, well, this is not connected at all. But as a matter of fact, he had a very good way of developing a business plan and helped me a lot. So I would spend 1 to 2 weeks at the beginning of every year thinking. Maybe not 8 hours a day, but definitely in the wee hours of the morning when I was supposed to be sleeping. I would be thinking about these things. What am I going to do?
Right.
What's going to make my business go from being $500,000 in sales to $600,000 in sales for this next year, and so on and so forth as you grow. So a lot of times it's making changes on the interior. A lot of times it's reaching out to a different marketing company or trying something new when it comes to advertising or promotion. But the reality is you have to think about it. You have to make a legitimate, concrete plan for moving forward. I'll just give you an example. Over the years, so many people have come in looking for a particular small product that I did not carry, and it's called guitar effects pedals. I didn't carry it because I knew nothing about them. Right. I knew there was chorus pedals and phaser pedals and reverb pedals and that, but I didn't know where to get them or even what to use them for. And so I waited to educate myself on that. And lo and behold, a great knowledgeable young man came to my store looking for a job. And when I found out he knew everything about pedals, I hired him. And now we have a business just in pedals that does about $100,000 per year in annual sales.
Right. You guys actually do have really good pedals in the store there.
Yeah, we've got decent selection. The biggest problem with pedals is running out of them.
Right.
That's an interesting thing. But what did I do for 2021? What did I do for 2022? What am I going to do for 2023 with my pedals? Well, what we decided in the middle of 2021 is that our pedal display was inadequate. We need to spruce it up. We need to make it pop. We need to make them accessible. We need to make them look like it's the best deal in Oregon. That's right. Exactly the way I think. Is my store the happiest place in Oregon? Is it the easiest to access music store in Oregon? Do we have the best parking in the state of Oregon for a music store? Do we have the happiest team and the best customer service, et cetera, et cetera? Well, what we did in the last few weeks is we designed and built a fantastic pedal display. It is lit with flashing lights. It has a big hood, a big screen TV, so you can see demos of the pedals. You can even see yourself play on the TV if you
That's
want
awesome.
to.
That's awesome.
But that little spot, it's only a space about 10 feet by 4 feet. But that's all it takes. And pedals are very important to guitar players. And what guitar players there are that they are not important to, those people just have to walk in and see a couple of guys sitting on chairs noodling with pedals. Next thing you know, it becomes important to them as well. Exponential growth in pedal sales. Now, why am I focusing on pedals right now? Because the profit margin is good on them. I want to bolster the areas where the profit margin is good.
Right.
I do have areas in my store where the profit margin's bad, but that's a whole different thing about planning. But this thing with the effects pedals is important to us right now.
So tell me what, on a daily basis, for instance, for the effects pedals or for different areas of your store, in dealing with your team, do you have a team meeting at the beginning of a day? Do you go around and talk to team members daily, kind of feel them out and make sure that they're on board? Because you mentioned earlier that it was important for you that they're giving the same customer service that you would give. And I think that's important for any store, really, is that the employees are out there as the face of the owner. And in a way, that's really kind of a big deal for most businesses. So do you go around kind of daily with your team? Do you just kind of keep the camaraderie up? Are there things that you do in that regard?
Let's take that, first of all, from the aspect of me being the gatekeeper. It's my business. I want it to reflect my values. I want it to reflect universal values. I want my business to reflect a very, very positive light on my entire industry. So one of the things I thought about at the very beginning was there is lots and lots and lots of different types of musicians, but which ones of them actually have a credit card? Which group in all that vast array of musicians have an outlet for their music? Which ones are being supported by parents? Which ones are being supported by schools? That's the people I want to focus on, because I can think about a lot of musicians who are people who are renting or living in their mom's basement, playing video games all day, and they can shred on the guitar. But I can't count on them to come in on a regular basis and buy their accessories from me because they have no money.
Right.
You might want to edit this out because I can be pretty negative about this.
No, it's all good.
But the truth is, the people that have an actual credit card are the moms and dads who have kids in school. That's my first focus, is students. Right. I want them to have a fabulous experience. I want them to feel that they can trust us. They can trust our team. There's no weirdness going on in the building. It's all because I watch what comes into my space. Recently, I had a guy contributing to our Facebook site who began to go a little bit on the dark side and the creepy side. And so I cut him off. Right. I don't want that influence to be apparent or visible anywhere on my landscape. Absolutely none whatsoever. And I'm very grateful that people have joined our team who have an incredibly positive attitude, and they have a high outlook when it comes to the future of music in our town, in our store, in our town, and around the world. That's important to me. I want that to be communicated clearly to people who walk in the door. That way they can trust us. And having trust is priceless. It's just priceless. But on a day-to-day basis, no, we don't have a day-to-day staff meeting. We have 2 staff meetings a month that are the big hour-long sit-down, everybody take notes type of staff meeting. I make it fun by throwing in pop quizzes and throwing in videos that we watch that are from other companies. And once in a while, I'll show a video of this is how we don't want to do things. And having a don't want to do things this way, those bad experiences, sometimes there's great companies that throw in a blooper now and then just to get everybody to have a good time. But this is how you don't do things. And it's important to remember those things. The second thing is we talk about security all the time. You know, having safety in the store against theft is very important, of course. But having safety in the store when it comes to trip hazards, little things that could fall on a kid if they're sitting on a table on the edge and a small child reaches up and grabs it, you know, they can be crushed by an accordion.
Right.
That's a joke. But the reality is we want the place to be safe. And it's everybody's business. My entire team knows that that's what they have to do, is take care of all those little things constantly. Because it will happen that somebody will lean a guitar up against a random wall, and next thing you know, it's on the floor with a broken neck. Those little details are very important. But when it comes to training the staff, I use the medium that is available through the Association of Music Merchandisers. I use the various trainings that are put on by manufacturers. We have a pretty frequent time around a video screen watching training sessions. We also have lots and lots of resources available when it comes to specific products. And you can watch 10 different musicians use one product, and they will all use it differently. And it's important for us to have a breadth of knowledge when it comes to those particular specific items.
Right. And I think, too, that it makes sense that when you hire staff in, that you're hiring the people in that are going to take the initiative to do those trainings, not only the ones that you provide, but also on their own, too, because that makes them better salespeople for other people that come in the door. The more knowledge they have, the more that they can impart to other people that come in.
That's a good point. If a industry has a association, they provide all kinds of videos, articles, resources that are useful for the staff. And a lot of times I will just send an email to everybody and say, hey, please click on this link and listen to so-and-so talk about a specific subject. Right. It's a 5-minute video that I do not want you to miss. And most of the time, the follow-through is very good on those things. So it's something like they can do on their own time.
The daily ongoing training, just to... So, yeah, okay.
It's not just training for in-store also. A lot of times it's training for life or training for their band or their music habits.
Right. So let's flip the topic just a little bit and talk about marketing. What do you have a marketing company that you work with? What do you do for marketing? Maybe start from the big picture, but what I want to do is sort of drill down to what maybe you do on a daily basis. You kind of already touched on it a little bit when you're walking around the store. There's a lot of things that you do, like with the pedal case, where you set things up specifically in the store to showcase a certain area, the way guitars are set up. I'm sure that there's thought process behind how you arrange guitars. Maybe you would certainly know more about that than I would, but start maybe from the big picture of the marketing structure, and then maybe drill down to when you walk around the store on a daily basis, what are some of the things that you're looking for?
First of all, I break down marketing and promotion into two classes. Marketing is everything that happens outside of the doors of my store, and promotion is everything that happens inside the store or somewhere where we are there. For instance, there is shows at a particular theater where they will have us come in and set up a little display of guitars and ukuleles or whatever. And that's promotion as far as I'm concerned, because we are there. We have the opportunity to talk to John Q. Public and enjoy a conversation about whatever it is we have on the table and have some face-to-face contact with people.
Right.
The marketing companies have been hit really, really hard with cost increases over the past year and a half. I think there was a particular period of time back in 2020, I think it was around the 1st of November, when all of a sudden everything began to go into rapid increase in cost. So where we were paying $2 a gallon for gas, now we're paying almost up to $5 a gallon for gasoline. The same thing has affected the marketing companies out there. Let's take a radio station, for instance, where I used to be able to buy 60 spots throughout the course of a week for maybe $800 or $900. Now I'm paying $1,500 to even $2,000 for that same 60 spots.
Wow.
They are no longer providing a free service of going in and recording my voice or having one of their staff people do the prep work for doing the voice. That's an extra charge. That is marketing. That is the state of the situation when it comes to what's going on with marketing. The other thing about marketing is that there's a lot of resources available out there. And basically, I choose the marketing that I want to use based on the relationship I have with the people who are doing the marketing. And it's that way in so much with our suppliers, so much with our vendors when it comes to services like internet and telephone and television in the store. If I have a great relationship with the supplier, I stick with it.
Right.
And I tend to be a little bit too loyal. I would say there are some people who would say to me, you need to give up a little space here and perhaps try to work with so-and-so or so-and-so. And I tend to be very loyal to my suppliers. So I've worked with the same radio station for 11 years. Maybe it's 10 years, something along that range. I've had food provided from the same place for at least the last 10 years when we have staff get-togethers and whatnot. When it comes to where do I go, and obviously the food thing is not marketing, but it's a relationship, and that's what I'm talking about. Marketing is a relationship. The company that will come in, sit down with you, take a tour of the business, or actually buy some product or spend time with the staff, they're the ones who know what we need to say. And they come up with the best marketing slogans, the best pictures, and the best timing of the ads that we do. They do their homework, and they get it right. Now, do we always get it right? Nope. I've wasted a lot of money on marketing as well. There's been periods of times when I spent $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 on a marketing campaign that just fell flat. You have to chalk it up to a good learning experience. I've learned to always treat those people with respect, regardless of the effect and effectiveness of the ad, because you never know. There might be a period down the road where you're going to need exactly what they provide, and then you can go back to them without having a messed up relationship.
Right. And I think that's important for other entrepreneurs to hear, too, is that not everything is going to work all the time. You're not going to have a 100% track record on any marketing endeavors that you do. Things are going to fall flat, and it's okay to take that hit. And sometimes things are going to work great and be better than you ever thought. And even in those cases, you could even have a great marketing strategy that goes out, but the relationship is sour. So maybe you won't want to have that marketing again. It's like, look, you did a great job for me, but I really don't like you. I really don't like working with you. So I know what worked, and I'm going to find somebody else now that can maybe make that work for me, but I'm not going to work with you. So there's that sort of the seesaw of that marketing relationship where, yeah, this worked great, but you're a really rotten person. So, you kind of has that flip-flop.
The frequency of finding really bad people is thankfully very, very infrequent.
That's good, yeah.
But, everybody's trying to survive out there. Mm-hmm. It just so happens that we as an individual connect or click with certain personalities, and that's what you got to look for.
Right.
It's not rocket science, but the fact of having to do marketing, that is rocket science. It's something where you get 4 or 5 brains together. I love the way Julie Miller said it when she made her huge, successful album back in like 1997. She said, we just sat around at a table and screamed and yelled at one another, and after 3 or 4 hours, we had a great plan for a great album. And that's the way we do it. It's just roundtabling.
Right.
And sometimes it is disagreements, and sometimes it gets pushy, and sometimes we have to back off. Sometimes as the owner of the company, I need to realize, yes, I did do this before, and yes, it did fall flat, and yes, I do need to listen to this person on my staff. And thankfully,
right.
Thankfully, I mean, this is huge. A big point right here. Have some staff people that are different than you. Have some staff people who have the courage to speak up.
That's
have
good.
some staff people that are experienced. And I'm not going to go into my staff right now. I'm not going to talk about them right now, but I will say I am extremely proud of the team that we have. They are an amazing bunch of people. We would not be a surviving business without them. We would not be a profitable business without them. And I could right now point the finger at several people that I've had over the years that have made it be what it is today. Those people are extremely important. So when I do call a meeting and I say we're going to talk about marketing, I can count on them to give me what their gut tells them. I can count on the truth. And that's very, very, very important for the small business owner, the entrepreneur, whatever it is.
Right. And that's awesome. Well, thank you, Ted. I want to thank you for coming in today and doing this podcast with me. First podcast of this series, and I'm honored again to have you on board with this. I think it means a lot to any entrepreneur who's listening to listen to a business owner who started from a recession and then has gone through and then went through COVID and all that mess, and you're still here and you're still doing great. The store's doing great. Got great people in there. And so I really do appreciate you coming in and talking about the business today. And so Sunday Guitars in Bend, Oregon. If you need any sort of instruments, accessories, look them up. Great store and great people.
I think it needs to be said, ditto. This is a great studio. I've been around this studio for a long time, and I'm really grateful to have the relationship with you, Michael, in order to be able to do something like this. But hey, let's do some music together too.
Absolutely. Music's the best. So thanks for tuning in today. And this is the Business Day-to-Day podcast with our special guest, Ted Engstrom from Sunday Guitars. Thanks, Ted.